Hello my friends, welcome to a new video. Today a versus video between the two cheapest wheelbase sets you can get out there, the Logitech G29 and the Thrustmaster T128. The Logitech features a 28cm steering wheel with leather finishing and a good array of various buttons. The layout of it is well structured and functional. Especially the inclusion of a rotary button is a big plus when it comes to changing settings during a drive. The D-pad and console specific buttons are of controller grade and function very well on a console. Attachment of the wheelbase happens with the built-in clamps, or it can be secured with M6 bolts in the two available pre-threaded mounting points. The T128 features a 25cm steering wheel completely made out of a thick plastic. It features a selection of push buttons without anything that stands out really. It is a very minimalistic layout suitable for console play, nothing more and nothing less. Attachment of the wheelbase happens to your rig or desk with a removable clamp. Both feature a rev counter on the top of the steering wheel, which I can really appreciate. The T128 comes with the T2PM pedals, a 2-pedal set. This set is completely made out of plastic and has a very small footprint. Even attaching it to a Blazy Challenge was challenging because of it. The pedals are equipped with 2 holes through the pedals for extra fixation. I managed to fit them with 2 M4 bolts of 5cm. The Logitech pedals are a 3-pedal wheelbase. The set has metal pedal arms and faces with some grip dots on them. Attachment can be done with 6 M6 bolts in pre-threaded attachment points, but the base is also equipped with carpet biters if you have no rig to attach it to. I like the design of both the G29, I always like the design of it, and I like the new modern design of the T128 as well. I don't think it is that much of a decisive factor who wins here for design. Granted, the pedals of the G29, they are a bit nicer than they are of the T128, but for the rest, yeah, well, I don't really have a preference for design between these two. For build quality, yeah, well, at one side you have the T128, which is primarily made out of plastic, well, all made out of plastic. And then at the other side you have the G29, which uses some more premium materials. I'm thinking about the aluminium steering wheel with the leather upholstery. I'm thinking about the pedal face is made out of metal. So yeah, build quality, I think this is obviously Logitech that wins here. It is hard to compare the issues of these wheelbases since, yeah, the T128 has not been around as long as the G29. From what I can tell, for neither of the two there are real structural issues. For general wear and tear, the T128 will suffer more due to the lower quality of used materials. The buttons, for example, will fade more easily because of the cheap way they are printed. The technology in the G29 is a bit outdated, not only to the T128 but in general. So with the gear-driven transmission for the G29 versus the hybrid solution of the T128, so that uses a belt and gears to transmit the power towards the steering wheel. So yeah, there of course there is a difference, and this also shows in when you actually drive the car. Now that is not really it is important, but what I really find important here, and that showed also when driving, is the technology used in the pedals. So the pedals of the G29 use potentiometers versus the Hall sensors in the T128 pedals. And well, here there is quite of a difference because the potentiometers, it is a bit of an older base that I have here right now, and the potentiometers, I noticed it, they have a bit more difficulties with getting the correct readings as opposed to the Hall sensors. So yeah, I think for technology, the T128 is a bit more advanced. The first thing I noticed when driving them back to back was the difference of diameter of the steering wheel. While this does hurt some of the immersion, it does make for a very sharp steering in comparison to bigger steering wheels. The second thing was how much nicer a leather steering wheel feels in the hands as opposed to a plastic one. I really had issues with my hand palms sweating due to the plastic of the T128 after a while. When looking at the force feedback itself, I would say that the strength of both feels very similar. Contrary to what I was led to believe, the hybrid T128 did feel less smooth when turning. You can feel the little notches a bit more clearly with this wheelbase than you do with Logitech. The details of car behavior and road surface were, in my opinion, also more intense and pronounced with the T128. The return to center was not great with either wheelbase. The T128 is a bit faster than the G29, but not by much. For both bases, I feel they could really use some more power. It was very hard to read the car's behavior and correct it. Especially in the quick follow-through on the track, I had real issues with the maximum force both could generate to guide me through it in a controlled fashion. In all, the ride with the Thrustmaster felt more precise and intense, but less supple than driving with the Logitech G29. Shifting with both was really nice. I like the form of the T248 better, but here too the quality of material of the G29 leads me to favor that one. The pedals of the T128 are incredibly close to each other, which makes driving with shoes more difficult. While the difference with the Logitech pedals is small, there is a bit more space with those between the accelerator and the brake. The pedal faces for both pedals are also very small, which makes it harder to dose your acceleration and braking. The braking with the T2PA pedals did feel much better. As I explained before, the T2PM pedals are using magnetic sensors to capture the input, and this is simply more precise than the potentiometers of the Logitech. While I set the fastest lap with the G29, the T128 just felt more consistent all round. Software, I think we have the two most minimalistic pieces of software from the available manufacturers out there. Logitech G Hub, which allows you to change the sensitivity, and that is about it. With Thrustmaster, I think you can adjust the force of it and the wheel rotation, steering wheel rotation, and that is it. So it is very, very limited software for both. The compatibility of these wheelbases span over all platforms. Both the G29 and the T128 are compatible with the PC and PlayStation platform. They also have their counterparts on the Xbox platform with respectively the G920 and T128X. If we look at the upgrade path for both in the console ecosystems, it's not all that terrible. Because you can't mix and match manufacturers without some sort of extra third-party adapter, once you decide to upgrade your Logitech G29, it means you will actually be selling it and buying a complete new set. The only thing you can add to your G29 setup is a shifter. For the Thrustmaster, it is a bit different. Just like the G29, the steering wheel of the T128 cannot be swapped, but you do have the choice to swap pedals and add a shifter or handbrake. The fact that you can break up the cost of buying a new set of pedals, apart from the wheelbase, is a real plus for people that are more bound to a budget. I think for both Logitech and Thrustmaster, well, they have the best logistics system out there, and this also reflects on the second-hand market. So you can really buy them for a really good price. Of course, the new prices, there is a big difference. So for starter wheels, so the cheapest starter wheels, you have the Thrustmaster coming in at around 160 and the Logitech for 240 euro about. And that is quite a bit of a difference. So 80 euro of difference between both, well, that can already count. If you want to buy a steering wheel wheelbase for a kit, I think the T128 is a very good start. It is cheaper than the G29. It is fun to drive, more fun to drive than the G29. And well, the downsides of it, well, they don't really apply to kids because as a downside, I have, for example, the steering wheel, which is smaller than the Logitech one, made completely out of plastic. But then again, if you think about it, there are not many kids out there that have driven already in a real car with a real big steering wheel in leather. So I don't think it is much of a problem for them. You also have the little lights on the steering steering wheel for both, so that's also fun for kids. And then yeah, the pedal base, which I think is a bit too small, is a bit too narrow for me, for my feet to place on, but it is ideal for kids as well. So yeah, I think for starter wheel for kids, the T128 is absolutely the way to go in the new or in the second-hand market. I would really recommend that one for kids. Unlike with kids, most adults have already been in a car before, and for them the immersion becomes much more of a deal. If the small differences in driving sensations are added to the immersion and quality of the G29, the balance is tipped in the favor of Logitech. One thing which may tilt the balance back is the difference in price. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had something from this video. Please leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more versus videos or reviews, and I will see you all next video. Bye bye.